Hey, everybody. So, my name is Daisha Myers, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Leon Block Independent Media. So, I want to start out by telling you guys a little bit about myself for those who don't know me. Like I said, my name is Daisha. I am a mental health advocate. I've been working in the mental health field for about 7 years now. I'm doing social work, working with foster children, all things of that nature. Right now, I actually am teaching. I'm working in a school, but I want to get back into working into mental health. Um, More about me. I am actually starting my own podcast. It's called Love Yours Podcast. So you guys can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Yes, it's Love Yours Podcast, Facebook and Instagram. I also am a certified Reiki master. So if you follow me on my social media, my Facebook is Daisha Myers. You can see my schedule for Reiki sessions and things of that nature. But yeah, so we have Jontel Toland here with us, and we're going to be doing an interview. We're going to be talking about mental health, why he started, the Leon Block Independent Media, activism, self care, and much more. So, hey, Jontel.
How's it going? Thank you for having me. It's different. Being on the other side of this, it's different.
Right, definitely. So, I wanted to start out by asking you to tell us and the viewers a little bit about you because some people may not know who you are.
Right. That's a loaded question.
Yeah, it is.
So right. Let me break that down. Uh who I am is someone that has just only come into who they're meant to become. I will
Wow,
start by
that's
saying that.
powerful. That's definitely powerful.
Yeah, no, for real, 2020 really evoked passion out of me to become an activist, to become an advocate
Mm,
for the mental health issues that Black men face in particular,
right.
um, but also community organizing and independent media.
Mm,
So all of those intersections really make up and speak to who I am at the core.
right. And I love how you say that, you're just coming into who you really are. I think a lot of us are going through that phase in life right now. And with the pandemic and everything, I think it really, pushed a lot of things out of a lot of people. Now we see a bunch of people doing their own businesses, really doing their own thing and trying to heal and trying to grow. So I love to see it. I love to see it. So
I
yeah,
think honestly, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. You go ahead.
I think honestly, you said you love to see it. Seriously, I can't stress that enough because all of us have really put our hopes and dreams and what we
Yeah,
actually see ourselves doing in our lives on a back burner for
exactly.
sacrifices that we thought we needed to make. But when
Mhm.
we were faced with making real sacrifices for the sake of our family, protecting our family and our livelihoods and our
Yeah,
lives, during the pandemic, it was like, you know what, I'm going to open that business. I'm going to do
yeah,
that podcast. I'm going to do what I'm meant to do and be here because I have
exactly.
nothing left to give, like, yeah. So
Yeah,
I think there's
exactly.
something really to be said about that.
Right, definitely. Yeah, the pandemic had us all like sit down and really reflect on who we are and what we want.
For
So
real.
yeah, it was like a blessing and a curse in a way, you know what I mean? It was hard because we were struggling and going through the pandemic. A lot of people were getting sick, but I think in a way it did show a lot of people to just slow down and take that break. Take that
Hmm.
breather, figure out who you are, figure out what you really want to do.
And also take the time to pay attention to the things that are going on in the world because if it wasn't
That
for the
too.
pandemic, we wouldn't have taken to the streets in the ways that we did for George Floyd and
Right.
all the other people who lost their lives in 2020
Yeah.
specifically. Because that's what spoke to me. That's what woke me up.
Right.
really was George Floyd's execution. Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. It did. It really did wake us up. It did. So yeah, I wanted to ask you, what made you start the Leon Block Independent Media?
Yeah, actually, so while we on that topic,
Can you kind of answer that a little bit?
2020.
But
You hear me? You good?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. While we're on that topic, so 2020, the pandemic initially, I got laid off, as many people did. I was working in the food industry, and
Okay.
I said, okay, well, I'm going to start documenting things and talking about some stuff. And it so happened I wanted to speak on Black history, and then
Okay.
George Floyd was executed, and so my gears changed just a little bit to filming protests, and then organizing my own protest with other people, and then going from there and going to other marches and protests and doing and giving my own speeches, and it just ballooned into all this stuff. So I would hold a protest with people and then come home and go live and have a whole conversation engaging with people about it, teaching white
Mm-hmm.
people about racism and opening them up to things about Black history and American history that they weren't aware of. And so that went on, and then towards the end of the summer, I witnessed here in
Right.
um, Lancaster, Ricardo Munoz was executed by Lancaster City Police, and documenting that, and it taking off worldwide. I mean, the New York Post, the Washington Post, they picked up my footage, and
Yeah.
people as far as Australia and the UK were watching my footage, and it was like, okay, that's when it became
Oh,
clear to me that
really?
this wasn't something. Yeah, it opened up my eyes to the fact that we as individual people have immense power. And if mainstream media wasn't going to show real footage, I was going to do it. And then Walter Wallace in Philly happened. I took to those streets and witnessed some really crazy ass shit. I witnessed a lot of crazy ass shit and went through some shit, right? But it tested
Mm-hmm.
me in a sense. It tested me in a sense of realizing, like, uh,
Right.
can you hear me? It tested me in the sense of realizing how far I could push myself as a journalist, and where what environments I
I
could go
bet.
into and report and really dig into the trenches to bring the masses the real truth. So that's what I focused on from then on out, was getting the truth and
I can
amplifying
hear you.
people of color and Black people and oppressed people's voices. um, we all need the truth to be exposed, and mainstream media doesn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, it's my God-given right. I believe that I was put here on this planet to provide the truth, speaking truth to power. That is my form of activism. That is my form of protest, is speaking truth to power and going against the grain,
Mm-hmm.
going against what mainstream media will not give us. I'm going to give it, and I'm not going to
Right.
sugarcoat it. And when I figure it out,
Mhm.
that is who I am. Um, that's when things kind of started falling into place. And I mean, I mentioned to you before that I'm still taking things a bite at a time, but I know where I'm going. So yeah, so that is really the energy of where the Leon Block came from, right? But what the hell is the Leon Block? um, so all of 2020, my
Yeah.
grandfather watched me uh, marching and protesting
Right.
and speaking truth to power. And um, he was, he did a lot
Love
himself. He
that
was
for you.
85 years old. My grandfather, in 2020, he had got COVID a few times actually,
Okay.
and still, he's still. I know you breaking up a little bit. Hold on, let me catch up because I can hear you, but like you freezing up a little bit. Oh, there you go.
Uh,
You there?
yeah, I don't know if it is
I feel
freezing
like
up a
it's
little bit.
yeah, I feel like it's delayed, and I don't know why. Let me see.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
It is
Yeah.
freezing up a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like it's delayed, and I don't know why.
Can you hear me? Yeah, that is
Hello.
weird. Hello.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. 1 second. Okay, let me try this.
Okay.
We cool? We good? Let me know.
It seems good now.
You good?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, no, I can hear you fine. I can always hear you. It was
All
just
right.
like a little delayed. So I switched
Okay.
off my Wi-Fi and onto my data. So maybe that can help. So um yeah, so the Leon block. My grandfather watched me protesting and marching and giving speeches and coming into my own and my passion, right? Um and watching
Mm-hmm.
him really go through the ringer with COVID. Um
Yeah.
when I decided to form the Leon Block, it was in November of 2020, and so he got to see the Leon Block come to
Okay.
fruition. So he knew what it was when I told him the
Awesome.
title. But to other people, it doesn't make any sense. What the
Yeah.
hell is the Leon Block? So my
Hmm.
grandfather's name is
Yeah,
James Leon
exactly.
Toland, and my grandfather's name is James Leon
Okay.
Toland. So uh his middle name, your anyone's middle name, is the core, the epitome of who you are, but it's not always known.
Hmm.
Everyone doesn't always know your middle name,
Right.
right? But it speaks to the core of who you
Right.
are. Maybe you're named after your grandparents, or maybe that is a special name that your dad gave you, or
Hmm.
whatever, right? But middle names are
Hmm.
always special. They're the heart of who you are. And his middle name
Definitely.
is Leon.
Yeah, definitely.
So the heart of who he is like protesting. He protested, he marched, he was a part of
Wow.
labor unions. He um fought against this woman who
Yeah.
was killed. He watched police kill her, and then he witnessed other protesters retaliate and kill the police officer, and he did 2 years in Newark prison. My grandfather was a badass. He
Mm.
lived life to the fullest till the day that he died. Like he smoked and drank. I smoke. I don't drink
Yeah.
like that. But I mean, my point is that like
Hmm.
he was in the army. I don't support war, but I also do believe in supporting for fighting for what you believe in and standing up for something. He also was a big proponent
Yeah,
and supporter
exactly.
of being an advocate for healthy mental health. And he also
Okay.
worked a part of his own local organizations, one in Coatesville called Can I Help You? So
Awesome.
he wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that he was organizing and helping his own local community. Also, he was a small business owner and had a small business to help uplift young kids and give them somewhere to go after school and keep them off the streets. And that's just a few things to name
Wow.
to speak to who he was as a person. And that
Right.
speaks to what the Leon Block is as a platform, because all those things that he did are all the things that the Leon Block represents. And it just so happens to be that it happened to be
Right.
that way. Um, and so I was like, it's nice that that it has that name. So Block, talk about innovation, speaking truth to power, flipping things on their head. My grandfather had also became a toy creator. He made
Mm.
this toy called the Jimmy Block, and
Oh,
it was essentially like
uh-huh.
right, it was essentially like a Rubik's cube type of thing. But I mean, what what kids play with toys like that in the 2000s? So like no toy company
Yeah.
wanted to take it on, but he did get it patented, and it was something
Okay.
that came out of his mind that he thought together and he put it out there. He got
Mhm.
that idea together and he put it out there. And so combine, the
Mhm.
Jimmy block with Leon and who he is as an individual, and I was like, boom, like this is the
Mhm.
epitome of what speaks to empowering and enlightening and uplifting our people through hard work, ingenuity,
Mhm.
innovation, history, spirituality. He was a very faithful person. He was a devout
Right.
Christian, but he was
Right.
the Christian that Jesus actually like would, you know what I'm saying? Like he was a real Christian. He
Yeah.
wasn't some like hypocritical Christian. So I still respected him as an individual. I'm not a Christian. I'm a spiritual individual,
Mhm.
and I'm more
Mhm.
towards African spirituality. But
Okay.
he respected me as an individual
Mhm.
and loved the hell out of me. And before he passed, I was able to um, hear him tell me how proud he was of me and what I'm doing with this platform,
Mhm.
knowing that he's the inspiration behind it, and knowing that a lot of what I do is because of where I came from, and he's
Right.
he's a big inspiration and drive behind that. So in a nutshell, the Leon Block is here to further the betterment and upliftment and progression of Black people at the first and forefront, but
Mhm.
all oppressed people and all people together, so that we can combat this system and
Right.
live healthily and fruitfully to the best of our abilities, the way that we are meant to be as human beings. And
Right.
we do that through education, we do that through history,
Yeah.
knowledge, and experience, sharing one's experiences. So me talking about my experiences here is just as important as you sharing your experience,
Yeah, exactly.
or Will Smith slapping the hell out of Chris Rock, even though a lot of people don't condone it. He expressed himself, and it may not have been the
Exactly.
most healthy, but he
Right.
did express himself. And I think that that's what's important, is that like free speech and expression, freedom of expression is the most one of the most precious gifts that we have on this planet. And I think it's important for us to live up to the best of our ability to
Mhm.
express ourselves the best that we can.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think free speech is so important, and I wish more people took advantage of that and got out there and spoke their truth, because what you have to say is important. Like, even if you might not think anyone's listening to you, there might be someone out there that can truly benefit from what you're saying. You know what I mean? And it's funny you brought up the Will Smith thing, because I actually had that as one of our questions. So I'm going to go. I'm
Yes.
gonna skip ahead to that one, because this is something that I really wanted to talk about. Because I was talking to
Yeah.
my husband about it the other night, and like, everyone is downing Will, and I think he just got to the point. He has so much stuff built up that he just snapped, you know, and it's like, I don't, I don't condone violence. I don't think he should have went up
Right.
there and smacked him at the Oscars, but
Let me say this. You there?
hated him in the system. I mean, not in the system, in the media over and over again. And you can tell he just has all that built up in there.
Mhm. I'm sure a lot of them do.
So what do you, yeah,
So, all right. So I will start off with this. And it doesn't it being him being black does play a big part in this, but also him being a
it does, yeah.
celebrity, and celebrities play a big part
Right.
in this too, right? All of
Yeah.
this is multi-layered, and people want to just pick one layer out and say that's what it is, and it's like, no, it's
Yeah,
other parts too. Hold on.
exactly.
So so I always have like these, and everyone has moments of growth, right? And for
Yeah.
me, when I have a moment of growth that is very significant, sometimes I will do a head shaving. And that head
Okay.
shaving can be representative of two things. It could be a Britney or a Badu.
Right.
Badu was more spiritual.
Yes.
Um, Britney was more spiritual too, but it was a different kind of spiritual, right?
Yes. I
Um,
can feel Britney. I can feel Britney someday.
Right. We all have those days, but
Yes.
the way that things are handled by individuals is different, right? Because
Yeah.
the way that the black community checks our own people, we're super harsh on each other, but we
We
have to
are.
be. It's historically we are, but we're also worried about how they're judging us, so we're going to judge each other twice as hard, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
what we get. So Badu shaving her head was a big thing. It was
Mm-hmm.
weird. Lauryn Hill shaving her head was a big thing. Some people didn't understand it. People that
Mm-hmm.
weren't spiritually inclined did not understand that, right? And
Exactly.
and the same thing goes with Britney.
Mm-hmm.
The media attacked her. It was a whole big
They sure
circus for
did.
her
Yeah.
flipping out. She had the umbrella and she went ham, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But she deserved to have that. She's a human being. Yeah, she's a
Right.
privileged white girl. Cool, but she's still a human being. And that's the comparison I'm making between Britney and Badu
Exactly.
and Lauryn Hill and Will by
Exactly.
extension. It doesn't matter what demographic
Mm-hmm.
you're in, doesn't matter if you're black or you're white, you're still human and you have every right to express the way that you want to express yourself. It may not be in the best of ways to handle it in that moment, but that not so savory way of handling it might teach you
Mm-hmm.
to handle yourself better in future situations. So maybe you needed to go through that
Yeah,
situation
exactly.
to learn
Right.
how to handle something better, or maybe you needed to have that moment of exhalation and letting go and just losing it
Yeah.
to have that moment of clarity and say, woosah, I feel so much better. And if that's what you needed to do for you, boo boo, do it by all
Mm-hmm.
means. I don't care if you're sitting there in front of a
Right.
million people on a front stage because you're Will Smith. Yeah, you're Will Smith, but you're also just Will Smith. And
Yeah.
you ain't nobody to me. I don't care. I'm just Jontel Toland, but nobody's watching me flip out. Guess what?
Right.
I was a manager at Sonic one time and I had a mental health breakdown and I threw a big ass red smoothie across the whole fucking business. And guess what? My homie had to literally spike me to the floor because I was flipping out. Ain't nobody see that on national TV. People wasn't
Yeah.
coming for my neck. I lost my job. Yes, I lost my job,
Yeah.
and that was rightfully so. I paid the
Right.
consequences, but also needed that moment. I think it's
Exactly.
important for people to realize that yes, actions do have consequences, and we do need to think before we speak, and before we have actions
Mm-hmm.
are going to have consequences or repercussions. Yes, but it is just as important to be
Right.
expressive of yourself and showcase that you're suffering those consequences, to showcase that we're all human beings and we make mistakes. It's how we act and how
Exactly.
we react to those, you know what I'm saying? And Will Smith
Mhm.
is a human being who has done so much of the utmost respectful things and has made such strides for not only our community, but he's such a humble being and he's done so many amazing things
He
and
is.
continues
Really
to.
is.
This
Yes.
one thing,
Yes.
this one thing of him, like, boop,
And now everybody
it's
wants to
just right off
cancel
my
him.
shoulders.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't know. I'm not
Exactly.
canceling nobody because you know what? Just as much
Fact.
respect as I still have for Will Smith, I still have for Chris Rock as well, because they're both human beings that did
Right.
things that certain people might not like. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying it's right or wrong because I don't look
Right.
at things as right or wrong or good or bad anymore. It's an experience. It's something that happens.
Yeah.
So at the end of the
Definitely.
day, that happened. And at some point, we're going to have to move beyond this situation, but we need to take
Mm-hmm.
things that need to be learned from it and apply them going forward. And that's what I want people
Exactly.
to really put to the forefront here
Right.
is that y'all sitting here all up in these motherfuckers' lives when we could be using this as a lesson to learn in our
Yeah.
own lives.
Yeah.
And so,
Yes.
yeah, like
Yes.
for me, I'm still gonna love Will Smith. I'm still gonna love Chris Rock. I'm still gonna support them. I'm still gonna
Yeah.
watch their movies and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Did I condone the whole going up on stage and slapping somebody in front of live TV for everyone to see, especially two black folks? No, I didn't care for that. I didn't
Oh
like
my
that because
God.
that does send
No.
a certain it
Yeah.
does send a certain message. So, like I said, there's layers to this. Do I think
Exactly.
it's important for us to express ourselves
Right.
as black people? Yes. Do I think it's important for us to, if
Mhm.
need be, express ourselves violently if that's the way that we just naturally reacted? Yes, by all means, but be prepared to suffer the consequences
Mhm.
with that being said. Now, with that being said, there should be
Fact.
no
Yeah.
cancer culture backlash to this as well, because that's important for me to highlight too.
Right.
Like I said, this is
I
layered, and I will go into
either.
all these different points. Yes, because we don't need to
Mm-hmm.
have the whole mob coming after Will Smith for what he did. Okay, you need to send the mob after
Exactly.
R. Kelly for what he did.
Right.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying. It's not like he's
send the mob
raping
after Rush Limbaugh.
somebody
Right,
yeah.
right. Send the mob after those
Mm-hmm.
people. Will Smith has made strides. Okay, that is something
He
that really irks
has.
me. And those are things that we need to be digging in and talking about the issues here. That is an issue. That is a problem that we're dogging someone who has done amazing things for our community when another person did nothing but
Right.
continue to paint bad pictures and stereotypes for our community, making us look like super predators from the 90s that we are not. Will Smith has
Facts.
done nothing but
Yes.
uphold and break down the stereotypes that we. So the one time he messes up and slaps somebody because he's been fed up over years and we don't know his business and his personal life like we think we
Right. We
do,
don't
like we've
know. Right. We
inserted
don't know.
ourselves, we don't know right, we
Exactly.
don't know the full story. And so that really gets
Mm-hmm.
under my gears, and that's really explanatory of issues and ills within the Black community and within
Yes.
the larger American community that is addicted to Hollywood. I think that is something
Yes.
that's to be said about all of those different realms as well,
Mm-hmm.
because those are things that we hyper fixate on, and mainstream media knows this. So I want to get into the last thing that I wanted to touch on that with is mainstream media knows that as soon as they saw two Black men on stage fighting, they knew they could have a circus with this.
Mm-hmm.
They knew they could have something to divide and conquer people. They
Mm-hmm.
knew
Sure
they would have
did.
something to
Yep.
divide the Black folk, divide the LGBT folk, divide the Black and white folk,
Right.
divide the poor, and they knew they was going to divide all classes, and this was going to be something that they could dissect apart for
Exactly.
weeks on end to go along with the war,
Exactly.
right? You got two types of entertainment to keep the fuckery and the coonery and the bigotry and everything else going for the rest of the year if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying it. I'm not sticking with it. I said what I had to say on it, and I'm finishing up right now by saying what I'm saying, and I'm going all this whole tangent. But like you said, we want to touch on it, and I'm touching on it because I'm fed up.
Yes.
We have
Yes.
bigger fish to fry and other things to talk about it. Let's talk about the war on Yemen and not the war on Ukraine. Let's talk about how Brittany Griner is still sitting in prison in Russia. Why are we not working faster to get her out? Why are we not talking about these things? And the story that you talked about, thank you for posting this other story today about that white woman
talk about that too. Yes. Okay.
Oh my goodness, that's sent
the
me
next thing
off.
that we can get into. Yes, I am not buying it. I'm not buying it. Fuck out of here.
For real. Because if it was the other way around and we wanted to claim mental health, we would have been shot on sight.
Exactly. We would have been shot. We would have been dead. But
For
now
real.
she wants to claim mental health. And don't get me wrong. I'm a mental health advocate. You know what I mean? So she could be mentally ill. Yes. But like you said, if it was the other way around and homeboy wanted to claim mental health, that he had a mental breakdown, he would have been dead. No. Now she's under evaluation for mental health. Lock her up.
Yes, lock her up. You know,
up.
and you know what's crazy? And this is why I feel like she's guilty. I already know she's guilty. It's not a feel, it's a proven in my eyes because she stabbed him to death. You're guilty. You stabbed somebody to death. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You killed this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you get off. You get out of jail. You signed the Baker Act, right? So mainstream media is not going to touch this story, right? That's a given. That speaks to your guilt, right? Mm-hmm. Then on top of it, I don't know what you're doing on OnlyFans, but I could imagine that you busting it wide open for the world to see, right?
Yes. Oh, right. Yes. Oh, so, yes. I'm
sure. So tell me, you go stab a Black man, get off, get out, and go back to busting it wide open for money, and we supposed to believe that you're innocent?
Don't make no sense.
Make that make sense, right?
Exactly.
Right. Like
don't make no sense. So yes, I need to hear more details about this story because, like you said, like it's not out there yet. Really, in the media, they're not really releasing nothing. But I need to hear more because it's not making sense to me. And it's
really also
that somebody had to lose their life. Another Black man had to lose their life. But then again, some of y'all black men, I don't know why y'all be messing with. I'm not racist, but you know how I don't know.
Just saying. Just
Yes,
that. No, seriously, that
yes.
brings up a whole nother point that is
Because
very real.
who are they
It's
gonna
very
really
real.
defend in the end? They're not gonna have your back. I'm sorry, but hey,
Hmm. Hmm.
they're not going to.
And you know what? I talked about this the other night on the episode we did about Black woman fetish.
I didn't see
Because
that one, but I gotta see it.
oh my goodness, yes. So a lot of women, a lot of people still think that a white person, because you have black friends or you have a black child
Right.
or
Oh
you
my
have a black
god.
boyfriend or girlfriend, that you can't be racist. Who told you that lie?
Exactly.
Because let me
That's
point
my
out to
favorite
you
thing.
that
That's my favorite story.
slave owners raped
Right.
women
Exactly.
constantly. It doesn't matter the reason of why they did it. It doesn't matter. You could
Hmm.
be sexually attracted from hate. You could
Right.
be fetishizing a woman and still think of, look,
Exactly.
these white men in the boonies be raping cows and horses and ducks and all kinds of shit.
Mhm.
And you think they won't rape a slave? You think they
Exactly.
can't be racist? Come
Hmm.
on. So yeah.
Right. I know.
My point is that these white women, and I'm not saying that this is a uniform all, because
Right.
I've dated and been with tons of white men. I love white men.
Hmm.
I literally do. I'm attracted to white men, but
Right.
I'm attracted to white men that are pro-black, and they know.
Okay.
They know. They just
Right.
fucking know. You know what I'm saying? And if I ever get any kind of fucking inkling that you're not pro-black, I don't fuck
Hmm.
with you, point
Yeah.
blank.
You're cutting
And I
it
think
off.
that there's a
Yeah.
lot to be said with that. There's a lot of things that black men will tolerate with white women, because it's a form of self-hate, or things that they're
I
not
think so
taught
too.
growing.
Yes. Exactly.
There's a
Like
lot of
I was in
it's layered and
college.
there's factors, but
Yes.
go ahead.
When I was in college at Westchester University, there was a
Westchester
bunch,
University, yes.
yes, yay, but there was a
Shout
bunch
out,
of
yes.
men that will only date white women. And I said, why? I'm like, why? You know, like, I understand everybody has a preference. I get that. But it's like, come on, your mom is black. And it can be a preference. That's fine. You can say only date white women. But the thing about it is they would be like, oh, black women are this, black women are this. Go ahead and love your white women, but
That part.
don't down black women. That's the thing. You can have your
But just
preference and
as
love
much
your
as if you're giving a stereotype to black women, you're giving a
yes,
stereotype to white women as well. And that
exactly.
is damaging, not just for those two demographics, but also for my own demographic, black men. Because not only are you
Yeah.
giving us a bad look and a bad vibe, you're not giving yourself the love and attention that you deserve as a black man, not only from a
Hmm.
black woman, because a black woman can provide you with something too, but also for
Hmm.
yourself. Find value in
Yeah.
yourself to let whoever is your vibe come to you, not just go to a
Right.
certain group because you think that they're going to be subservient to you, or
Yeah.
that you're going to
Yeah.
have some kind of reverse retaliation for the things that were
Hmm.
the atrocities that happened to us. That ain't going to change nothing else, boo boo. That's not going to do nothing
Hmm.
either. You know what I'm saying? So like, one thing I do think is very problematic for our community, and I try to be very mindful of, is not being is speaking to the hoteps, because
Hmm.
I think that's just as insidious as the coonery that we see
Hmm.
out here. Because I'm
Right.
pro black, but I'm
Right.
also pro human, and I try to keep the
Exactly.
two neck and neck.
Yeah.
I'm not egotistical thinking that I'm better than anybody else. I just know that my people need to get uplifted to where everyone else is. And
Definitely.
there's a
Yeah.
difference in that. And I see a lot of these black men that get with these white women thinking that
Hmm.
they're just automatically supposed to be superior, and these white women are just going to
Yeah.
coddle them. That is
Yes.
not a man.
It's
Being
not.
coddled is not a man. And
Nope.
you know what? A black man that is uplifting his black woman, and the black
Hmm.
woman that is uplifting her black man, that
Hmm.
is realness. That is
That
real
is.
family. That is what we need to see.
It
And if
is.
you want, and if you happen, right, right.
Yeah.
And let me say, by extension, if you happen to be in a interracial relationship, make
Hmm.
sure that you're doing the same. Make sure that you're
Right.
uplifting your prospective person and they're uplifting you too. There is
Exactly. Yeah.
no I'm better than this, I'm better than that. With
Mm-hmm.
that being said, you could be a sub or a dom and still be respectful to your partner and still not
Hmm.
treat them like they're less than you. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
this is a no-brainer, and I think that people
It is.
just it's still like black men. It's another thing, the last thing. Black men want to aspire to be the white men of society. It ain't gonna
Hmm.
work. We need to get rid of this whole patriarchal denominational thing to begin with, because it takes the feminine
Hmm.
and the masculine unit to make that family unit work. I'm sorry,
Exactly.
like there has to be both that energy. And even with
Yes, it
homosexual
does.
couples, there's still that
Yeah.
feminine and masculine
It,
energy to
yep.
make things work too.
It
And even
definitely
like with me
will.
being said, I have feminine and masculine energy in me, and
Hmm.
we all do.
Everyone
You know
does.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We all do. And when you acknowledge that energy, you come into your
Hmm.
own. So I'm still a man. So I acknowledge my feminine and masculine energy, and that's what makes me a man. That's what lets me handle my shit. Same thing
Right.
with a man that's gonna be uplifting his woman. There's times
Hmm.
where that man needs to be coddled by his woman. Yeah, she's gonna do that for him. But at the same time, that man's gonna do that for that woman. It goes
Hmm.
both ways. And I think with a lot of these black men, they just look at seeing
Yeah, it
the
does.
white men of society, the slave owners, the white men, and they want to emulate them because they've lacked that power, and they want that
Hmm.
power without the hard work that it takes
Yeah.
to get there. And it's like, oh,
Right.
you supposed to worship me because I've been treated like shit for such and such years of our lives. And it's like, okay, yeah, we've been treated like shit and we're at the bottom of the barrel.
Hmm.
But you having that mentality is not going to make things any better, and it's not going to make them look
No.
at us any better. It's not doing nothing but making
Mhm.
shit worse.
Exactly. Whew.
I rest my case on that. I know I gave you a mouthful.
Right. But that's good though. Like we need to have these types of conversations. People need to hear these kind of things. I definitely
For real.
do think. So I wanted to discuss healing, especially as being a black man. What would you say to all the other black men out there that need to heal?
Be vulnerable.
Hmm.
Um, it's very hard for us to let down our guard
Yeah.
and not. By habit. We're so used to um not opening up or going to people and asking
Hmm.
for help or advice or to just confide in someone, right? It's for us by default, it's like activities or games, like
Hmm.
to blow off steam. And by all means, blowing off steam is great, and it's important to do that,
Yeah.
and if that's part of your self-care, do that. But I think the biggest problem that men have is the stigmas and the stereotypes that come with being a man, quote, the toxic
Yeah.
masculinity problem. And when we
Right.
listen to those stereotypes of toxic masculinity, it keeps us from seeing our true masculinity and seeing our true selves. And when I mean by that is self-care, self-awareness, right?
Hmm.
Self-awareness means listening to your feminine and honoring your feminine as a man as well,
Hmm.
and
Really.
taking care of yourself. And when you take care of yourself, it's not just the mental but the physical. So you can be a really outdoorsy person, a physical person, but it doesn't mean you can't pamper yourself and whatever that mean for you. If that means
Mhm.
going fishing, that means going fishing. I don't
Yeah.
You don't gotta fucking take a bath, you know what I'm saying? But do
Yeah.
what works for you. If
Yeah.
you go to the gym, if you
Exactly.
go for a hike, I love going for a hike. I don't run. That's not
Yeah.
me. I'm a smoker. I smoke
Mhm.
weed, so I can't be running. But I love going for a hike, and I can hike for 2-3 hours, and
Yes.
literally that sends my dopamine through the roof.
Right.
So like if I spend the whole day out in the wilderness, you know what I mean, and then I come home
Mhm.
like I'm beat, but I'm a good
Yeah.
beat and I feel
Right.
good. So like
Energize. Yeah.
that lasts for a few days for me. That's something that
Mhm.
works for me, and I honestly think that works for mostly everyone. If just go try it, get outdoors, try it seriously.
Yes, definitely get
Um,
in nature, people. Go out in nature. Yes.
Yes. I can't stress that enough, but I
I
try not to be
know.
preachy about it.
Seriously. No, it really helps. Like it releases the endorphins and the oxytocin and all of that.
That part.
It helps. It definitely helps. Um, so what
And
is your sign? Are you into astrology
I
at all?
I am. I am. So I'm a Capricorn.
What? You're a Capricorn?
Um
Really?
yes.
You do not give me Capricorn vibes. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
I get half and half a lot. Like some people say they
Okay.
don't see that in me, and then some people say, "Oh yeah, you're definitely a Capricorn." So it depends. But yeah, I have many different sides and aspects to myself. And I feel that people only see things that they want to see out of me. And so a lot of people have different views of like, I'm like an onion, baby. You got to peel me. And there's all different types of layers to get to. And so
Yeah.
people will have different layers of me. And that's the vision and the hue which they choose to see me. That's fine. But I am
Mhm.
very eclectic. And
Mhm.
so I'm very proud and prideful in being eclectic, but I
Mhm.
also am very mindful of the fact that people have different rose colored glasses on of me and different hues, if you
Yeah.
will. So that's fine.
Yeah. Actually, I do get a little bit of Capricorn vibes because Capricorns are really like outspoken and strong-willed and strong-minded. So yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
Not going to lie
Yeah.
there.
So what would you say, how can we break the stigma of mental health in the Black community?
Great question. Um, wow. The one thing that is always tried and true that works very well is talking more. One
Yeah.
thing about Black and Brown communities is historically we've relied on oral traditions to carry our history and carry
Mhm.
our traditions through word of mouth. So one thing
Mhm.
that always works very well for us is, um, yo, bro, like I went to this therapist, and yo, she's fucking dope
Yeah.
as shit, and she's
Yeah,
black. Yo,
you're
get on
right.
that shit. Call her right
Yeah,
fucking now. I'm gonna give you this link, bro. You gotta check this shit the fuck out. That's how
right.
we. That's the. I think that's a really great way, and probably if not the one sure true tried way to really be advocates for our community and really help spread things like
Mhm.
wildfires, talking about it and being to the forefront and shoving it down each other's throats, honestly, leading by
Yeah,
example. The ones that are already going through it and experiencing it, let
yeah.
our homies and our people and our family know how much it's worked wonders for us. Let them know,
Mhm.
like, did you see the differences in how I am now? This is why,
Mhm.
because I've been going to therapy, and I could do it I could do it at home. I could be driving going to work
Right,
and do it on my
exactly.
phone. You don't have to go. And yo, it works with insurance. Like, look, try
Yeah,
it out. Like you went and got food stamps, you can say you can go through the motions of doing this too. It's
yeah,
just as
exactly.
many steps. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you want that
Mhm.
food, do you want your mental health too? Do you not want to
Mhm.
spaz at every job you went to? Like, it's like we have to start thinking about, they're not here or here, they're here.
Right.
And the pandemic taught us that, because we saw so many, for our communities, we saw so many of our loved ones die to COVID, and we
Yeah,
also saw so many of us lose our minds because of
yeah.
so many different things, money, losing our loved ones, being
Mhm.
isolated and kept inside,
Mhm.
all the different routines of carrying masks and everything in different culture of the pandemic in inner cities specifically really
Mhm.
put a damper on us and our mental health. And we
Yeah.
saw a big increase in Black people seeking out mental health resources, and there's been a big increase in Black people going to therapy through video chat. And so
Yeah,
this is
definitely
something that has
happened.
really taken off. So we just got
Yeah.
to keep up with it and keep telling our friends and family about this, because we are making strides, and
Mhm.
people in our communities are waking up to it. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just keeping
Mhm.
up with informing. the people that we're around in general. For me and for you, it's
Yeah.
something that we're advocates for. So it's something that just rolls off of our
Mhm.
tongue. But
Right.
for people that aren't really talking about it much, or you don't go to a therapist much, think about your Walter Wallaces or your Daniel Prudes or your Elijah McClains or
Yeah.
your Ricardo Munoz's, anyone who has
Mhm.
died at the hands of police due to mental health
Right.
issues. You don't want that to happen to you or your family members. So this is why I think it's important to get help. And I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm saying if you're looking
Yeah.
out for yourself for other things, look out for yourself for this too. Because
Yeah.
if you scraped your knee, if you hurt your arm,
Right.
if you got to get crutches because you can't fucking walk, your mind's down and out too. You got to pick your mind up too. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah.
So
That's what I say to everybody. Like, your mind is just as important as the physical. Like, you need to have a healthy mind too. It's just as
right.
important. So, yeah, for anyone that's struggling out there is plenty of therapy out there now. Like, there's therapy online. There's something that I seen called Better Health. I think that's what it's called, Better Health. It's like therapy online. So, yeah, if you guys are struggling, make sure you guys reach out to somebody and get help.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier that you are attracted to white men. Do you consider yourself homosexual? Or what
No, I,
consider
I
yourself?
consider myself pansexual. So
Okay.
pansexuality, for those who don't know, is okay. So bisexuality
Mhm.
is under the bracket of pansexuality. So
Okay.
I try to not see gender. I try to see energy, right?
Okay.
So I will acknowledge if someone identifies as trans, if they identify as straight,
Hmm.
gay, or without labels at all. I don't care
Yeah.
what your wave is or who you identify as. Excuse
Right.
me. I look at I don't even look at. I feel for the energy and the compatibility that we have as individuals. So
Hmm.
I'm attracted, or I can be attracted. I can be attracted to pretty much anyone.
Hmm.
That's the way that I would describe it. Yeah,
Okay.
I like people with masculine energy the most, and
Yeah.
I like men the most.
Okay.
Um, but my attraction isn't relegated to that. I think I dabbled in that realm so long because of stereotypes and expectations of society. So like,
Hmm.
you see a lot of gay men in the closet as DL because of
Yeah.
society's restraints on gay people, so they claim they're straight, right? So I
Yeah.
had did the same thing as being gay, when really, like,
Okay.
I loved men, I loved women, I loved
Right.
transgender folk, I loved non-binary folk, I loved everyone, but I was afraid of admitting that because gay people made me feel some kind of way too, not just
I
straight
feel
people.
you. Yeah.
So it was really hard to come out the closet and all of that and be like, yo, this is just who I am.
Right.
Um, but on that note, speaking to race, right?
Hmm.
Um, it was definitely something that I had to really start questioning for a while. Like, um, do I fetishize white men, or do I have
Oh,
issues
okay.
because I like white men so much?
Yeah.
And um, I think aesthetically, it's the look. And for me, like the contrast and complexion that
Hmm.
I really love.
Okay.
But I've also found conversations to be very copacetic. Like I feel more understood for some reason, and maybe that is just reflective of the kind of energies I've connected
Right.
with, and that they happen to be
Yeah.
white.
Right.
So I don't attribute it to the race. I attribute it to like the kind of mentality
Connection.
I've
Yeah.
gravitated towards. But it is something that I've actively questioned because
Mhm.
I've dated black folk over the course of my life, but I've never had a really deep, long relationship. Like my longest relationship was 6 years,
Okay.
and it was with a biracial guy.
Okay.
He was black. He was half black, half white. Um, but I've never had the experience of being in a long term relationship with another black man.
Okay.
So that's something I've never had the pleasure of saying. So like I'm
Right.
still learning myself. Like right now I'm currently single, so who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you. Well, that makes sense. And thanks for explaining that, because some people don't really understand like pansexuality. And then my last question is, how do you handle negative comments that you receive?
Woo! That's a loaded one right there. Okay. So, I used to not handle them well.
Okay.
Um, I used to internalize them very much so, and I still internalize them very much so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I'm actively aware of that. It's something I'm working on. It's something I'm working through because it's something that I want to take the power from and get that power back, right? Um,
Right.
yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry. What was that question again?
How do you
Because
handle
there's more I want to
negative
say there.
comments? Negative comments that
So,
you receive.
right. So the other part I want to speak to that was like racism because I get a lot of like
Yeah.
ignorant comments, right?
Yeah.
So that's teaching me how to effectively converse with people and debate with people without getting too angry at first. Like I want to show my anger and my disgruntled attitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's my privilege as a black man, an angry black man, if I choose to do that, to be that, right?
Right.
But just as much as it's important for me to show that angry side, it's important for me to show my articulate, educated, and deep thought wise side as well, because there are two parts
Yes.
that make up a human being, not just a black man but a human being, and I
Yes.
always like to make sure to highlight that. So I like to engage thoughtfully, and that's something I'm being more aware of now, and that's what's gotten me to
Mm-hmm.
slow down, stop, and think about things and not overanalyze and
Mm-hmm.
let things get to me too much, but take them at face value and then leave them where they lay.
Right.
So that's where I'm currently at, and it's a journey for me. I still
Yeah, I'm sure.
I get worked up. I get worked up because
Yeah.
people say things. People say things about me. I've had my name run through the dirt. I've had things
Yeah.
said about me that are not true at all. And I've had people
Mm-hmm.
believe things that are not true about me at all. And you learn to deal with it because not everyone is for everybody. And with the things that I work in, I think it comes with the terrain that there are going to just be
Yeah.
things that I say that people are not going to like. And you know what? Fuck them. Because look, I have a tattoo that
Oh,
people are just not going to like. I'm
yeah.
hanging a Klansman. I will
Oh
fuck a
my
Klanny.
God.
Yo, fuck them clannies. And I real
Yes,
shit. So
yo.
there are things
Yeah.
that people are just not going to like that I say or do. And I've
Right.
started to lean into that, then pull
Mm-hmm.
away from it. And that's what's
Mm-hmm.
helped me to like say, okay, well, it's just gonna be what it's gonna be.
It is what it is. Yeah. That's how I look at it too. It is what it is. You can love
It
me
is
or you
what it
can hate
is.
me.
That's right.
Yes. Well, that is all I have. But oh yeah, one last thing. Make sure you
Yeah.
follow me on Facebook. Follow my podcast page, Love Yours Podcast. Also follow the Blacklands Gallery. It's all handmade jewelry, as you can see, using crystals, wrapping. So yes, follow us.
Yes. Yo, you will see more from Deja Myers on the Leon Block.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes, you
Yes.
will.
I know you specialize in a lot of things surrounding spirituality and mental health,
Hmm.
but you give great interviews. So I'm like, I really am excited to see more of what you do, what you come up with. And everyone, please give her a warm welcome to the Leon Block. I'm really excited
Thank
and
you. Yes, I'm excited to
very
be
thankful
here.
for you.
Thank you.
It, it,
Yes, it
it
was
really
so much
means a lot to
fun.
me.
You're welcome. And thank you for allowing me to interview you. And this was actually like my first like real interview. So I practice all the
Yo,
time. But yeah, so this was fun. And yes, I am so excited and I can't wait to do more.
for real. I so appreciate you. So it's your show tonight, so you go ahead and close out for us. I'll do the thing for you, but you go ahead and let
All
everyone know.
right. Well, that is all we have. Thanks everybody for tuning in to the Leon Block Independent Media, and I hope you enjoyed our interview. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.